Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me?
Good evening, sir.
Okay. So there is some issue with the internet connection. So if there is any problem in hearing in between the class, let me know. I will switch the internet to my personal internet connection. Okay. This faculty quarter internet is causing some problem. So I'm going to just upload and then start the discussion. Okay. So programming assignment is pending from my side. I will maybe this weekend I will create some assignments and upload it in the portal. Okay. Can you just hold for a second? I got some phone call. So can you hear me still? Can somebody confirm? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. 91, 92, 93, 94, 95, 96. So all the pages are there. So I have uploaded today's material also. Okay. So let us start the discussion. I hope you can see my screen also. Let me just lower the size, it is too large. I guess or I hope that every one of you is using laptop or some other larger screen, because in mobile it may look difficult to read. So what we have done, can you see the screen? Just final confirmation before we start.
Yes,
Can
sir.
we?
Yes,
Can
sir.
you? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. So we have started after the midterm. We have started about finite volume method, and we are going through the basics of finite volume method. So initially, so we have had two classes where we have seen what is finite volume method. I'm just giving you again a brief revision of this, and where we actually integrate the governing differential equations over small domains, subdomains, which are known as control volumes. Each control volume is represented by a grid point, generally at the centroid or at the center. Okay, so centroid means basically the center. So if it's a complicated domain, you can calculate the centroid point. So all these subdomains, which are called as control volumes, are generated when you mesh or create the mesh for a problem in a CFD solver or using your own code, where you basically generate the x, y, z coordinates, or in 2D x and y coordinates for the vertices of each of the control volumes, and based on the vertices everything else can be calculated. For example, if you know what are the coordinates of the vertices, you can calculate what is the slope of this face, what is the normal direction to the face, what is the central point or centroid of the control volume, everything can be calculated. What is the distance between the neighboring grid point, so all this can be calculated. So the main advantage we have seen is that finite volume method, one is that even if the means even if we have a very coarse mesh, we can guarantee that the mass, momentum, energy, all these conservations are valid. Okay, which is not true at the volume, means at the control volume or at the domain level for finite difference method. Finite difference method ensures that governing equations are valid at infinitesimal points, means because it is a differential equation. Here the way we have derived, although the equations look similar in both cases, for simple cases. For complex cases, the equations may be different, but the main advantage was that all the conservations are always true in finite volume method. Okay, at the domain level, means even for each control volume as well as for the entire domain. Okay, and another advantage was that the subdomains or control volumes could be of any arbitrary shape, which is certainly not true for finite difference method, where uh, you need a structured type of orientations, means the point should go from I is equal to 1 to some value and j equal to 1 to some value. This is not required for control finite volume method. Okay, so based on that, we have started with a very simple equation, 1D steady state heat conduction equation, and we have seen how to discretize the equation. And one of the important aspects that we have studied is profile assumption, and we have studied different aspects of profile assumption. Finally, we found that any equation can be represented in this way once you discretize it for a grid point. Let me open the diagram in another page, and we will keep it open because it is required always. Because there is no board, I cannot show it or keep it open in a board separately. So always this diagram you should keep in mind whenever any discussion is going on for the next few classes, that how the grid points orientation look like. So let me just drag this a little bit. Okay. Dropped off. Still, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So any grid point like the control volume P, which goes from small w to small e, represented by the grid point P at the center, having a length delta x. For this, if we discretize the equation, we get a form APTP equal to AET plus AWTW plus B, where AP is the coefficient for temperature at this grid point P, and AE and AW are the coefficients for temperature at the neighboring grid points. Here we have two neighboring grid points. In 2D, we will have 4 neighboring grid points in a structured grid. In 3D, we will have 6 neighboring grid points. Accordingly, we will have like A1 T1 plus A2 T2 plus A3 T3 like this. Okay. And if it is unstructured grid, we may have arbitrary number of neighboring grid points, like I have shown this case. In 2D, there are 5 neighboring grid points for this, because it's a pentagon. It has 5 common faces, so 5 neighboring grid points are there in 2D. Okay. So, but the form of the equation will always remain same. What is the form of the equation? APTP is equal to summation of A and B, T, and considering all the neighboring points plus some source term B. Okay. And once this form is there, we will derive some methods actually solve the equation. How to solve this type of equation? So this format of the equation is present for all grid points. Means whenever I am considering this point of SP, this is the equation, like 0.5 SP. When I go to 0.6 SP, again this is the equation, but now the neighboring points are 5. When it is 0.3, neighboring points are 2 and 4. When it is 0.7, neighboring points are 6 and 8. The treatment of 8 needs to be somewhat different because it is boundary condition, known value, or even if it is unknown value, some extra information is there. That we will discuss in the next. Okay. So let us come back to our discussion. So this we have discussed, and in the previous class we were discussing some other aspects, like physical consistency needs to be there, and overall balance. Overall balance means overall balance of mass, momentum, and energy conservation, which is already there for finite volume method. Physical consistency, I have given some examples. That solution can be approximate, means not very accurate, but it has to be realistic. It should not give unphysical solution. Means it should not go beyond the bound of the boundary condition, or some other unphysicalness should not be there. You can think of more type of situation where unphysical things happen. And then we have discussed about treatment of conductivity and source term. Why we have discussed about treatment of conductivity and source term? Because in our discretized equation, ultimately, this final form APTP equal to AET plus AWTW plus B. This AP, AE and AW are known quantities, has to be known quantities which needs to be supplied to the solver for getting the value of temperature. So this AE, AW, AP, this depend on K, E, KW means interface conductivity. So that's why treatment of K is very important, because we are not storing the conductivity at the interface. We store them at the grid points. So somehow we need to interpolate the conductivity or find the conductivity at the interface. Okay. Second is that this B source term, that also has this S, the actual source term. So that also needs to be treated if the source term is complicated, means if it is non-linear or if it is not constant, if it is a variable, it's a function of the variable itself, in this case, which is temperature. Okay. So we have seen that instead of having a linear mean, harmonic average, harmonic mean is much more suitable because it takes into account the physical aspect, conductivity type of situation, means how conduction occurs in a composite material, that is captured accurately by the resistance that is there to conduction is captured accurately by harmonic mean, not by linear. And we have discussed these situations. And then some limiting cases also we have discussed, which shows that harmonic mean is good, arithmetic mean is not good. Okay, but we can get away with arithmetic mean in most of the cases, because in most of the cases you don't have drastic change of conductivity from one grid point to the next grid point, unless there is some material change like a composite material. Okay, or some solid body is present in a fluid with a very different thermal conductivity, like a fin in a fluid flow. Then that may cause problem. Then you have to be careful, because the flow adjacent to the fin will have a very different thermal conductivity. The fin, which will be of metal, will have a very different thermal conductivity. Then linear mean may create problem. Second thing that we had discussed was treatment of source term S. And for constant source term, there is no issue. We can just write BS like what we have done here, S into delta X. Okay. And just reduce it slightly. If it is a linear function of t, S is a linear function, we can represent S as some plus the linear term, means SC plus SPTP. Okay, where SP is the coefficient of this the linear function of temperature, basically. So and SC is the constant part. And if you do that, you can again derive the coefficients. Only change that will occur is that AE and AW will remove the AP value, which was previously AE plus AW, will now become AE plus A minus SP into delta X, because this additional T term, TP term, gets included coefficient of TP. So minus SP into delta X term is there. Okay. And B becomes, instead of S delta X, now it is the constant part SC into delta X. However, the final form of the equation is exactly same, and so the solution process will also be exactly similar. Only thing is that while calculating the coefficients, you may have to calculate slightly. So at that point, we had stopped in the previous class. Any questions?
No, sir.
Otherwise, let us continue. So what we have seen is that if source term is constant, again I am just reiterating for the BTech students who have taken elective with me in CFD course, these things are all known to you. It's more like a revision. Syllabus is almost similar for both cases if you just look at the syllabus. So not much new part is there in here, but it's just more like a revision. It will help you to revise, may be useful for job interviews. So we have discussed all this in our elective course, but for MTech students who have not taken CFD, this may be new. We have taken CFD, these are again very standard. Okay, this is a basic course in CFD. So CFD means both computational methods in thermal and fluid problems. So these are all standard processes. So if S is constant, we have seen that how to treat that. If S is a linear function, that also we know how to treat. Means we divide it into the linear part and the constant part. Now if S is non-linear function of t, what can be done? Okay, in that case, because if it's a non-linear function, if we just put this as a non-linear term, say sp into tp cube or tp square, and then we will have an additional term, or if you make that coefficient as t, means if you have the tp term, then within the coefficient also another tp or temperature will be present, means one non-linearity will be present in the coefficient, which will be difficult to tackle if it is the current iteration value. So what we have to do is we have to iterate based on old time step values, old iteration values, not old time step. Previous iteration value temperature will be already known from previous calculation. That needs to be used to calculate the source term for the new iteration, and then that needs to be used in the for solving and finding a new temperature value. Once you find the new temperature value, again use this new temperature value to calculate the source term, and again solve to find the new temperature value. So this iteration will go on until we get convergence, which means that not much change is occurring from one iteration to another iteration. So the convergence we will discuss later, but that is the point. Okay. So before going to that, okay, so we need to discuss about some basic rules of finite volume discretization, because based on that we will see how to treat this source term, nonlinear source term. If we do not know the rules, we will not be able to correctly treat the nonlinear source term. So before going into treatment of nonlinear source terms, we have to check what are the fundamental, say you can say, points that should be kept in mind while developing the discretized equation of for using finite volume method. Okay, so these are in some books, these are written as basic rules of finite volume discretization. In many books it may not be directly written, but this is intrinsically present. You should do this check, and these are the checks that needs to be done like this. Okay, we are following the book by Patankar, which is one of the most fundamental books, because he was pioneer in developing the CFD method, finite volume method. He was one of the first person, and his book is very fundamental. Although it is written long way back, it is like a short notes, but has a lot of insights. You should always read the book by Patankar. So these rules for finite volume discretization, till now what we have studied 1D steady state type of diffusion problem, steady state diffusion type problem. Okay, means the equation was this type of equation, one diffusion equation, second order, and one source term. Okay, steady state, no unsteady term, no convection term, and this was our grid structure. Okay, let us keep this open, this grid structure. Let us keep this open. So for this type of problems, the rules are exactly valid, but still the rules give us insight for development of discretized equation, even for more complex situations like unsteady term is there or convective term is there. In those cases also, although they may not be exactly valid, but when we discuss about these rules, you will get a fundamental understanding of why this discretization needs to be in this way. Okay, so one point we have already discussed. The first point, that the first rule is that the flux at each of the control volume faces needs to be consistent. Means that the flux that is going out from one of the control volumes, is this W control volume, to the next control volume, is the same. It should be the same as the flux that is coming into the next control volume. Okay, so intuitively you can say that is obviously true. So how can the flux be different? It is the same flux that is going from one side to the other. But mathematically we have seen that when we are calculating the flux, for each control volume we are separately calculating the flux. So for P we are calculating the flux, based on profile assumption for P. For W control volume, we are calculating the flux for the same boundary based on some other profile assumption. So if the profile assumptions are not consistent, then the flux for calculate means flux that we obtain by calculating for these two adjacent control volumes will be different at the interface, which is not acceptable. Okay. So flux needs to be continuous at the interface, although we are separately calculating them for both the control volumes. And we have seen one way to ensure that the flux is continuous. What we have seen is that we can take a linear, say, like we can interpolate the temperature linearly between two control volumes, adjacent control volumes, so that the slope of the line is same for both control volumes. Okay. And also the other thing that needs to be considered here is that the interface conductivity should not be calculated just based on the grid point conductivity. Means, say for example, if we are calculating the interface conductivity, when we are doing the calculation for this grid point P, okay, we are doing here the calculation for grid point P. I cannot just directly write that K small w is equal to Kp. Okay, assuming that so much small change will occur, let us write Kw as Kp. Then it will cause problem, because for the next grid point, Kw I will write at the same W. Okay, so the conductivity will become different at the same point and flux will become different. So what we need to understand is that this conductivity is the interface conductivity. It is, although because we are not stored, it is an independent term. It is this. It does not belong to any particular control volume. Same as flux. So flux is the term valid at the interface. Flux does not belong to any particular control volume. We cannot say that this left side of the left flux for this P control volume and this is separate right flux for the W control volume. The flux is the same flux, although we are taking them into account separately when we are doing the calculation. Okay. So this is the first point. This we have already discussed in details. That physical consistency of fluxes at the control volume phases needs to be maintained. That is very important. Okay. Any questions? Otherwise, let us go to the second point. The other points are somewhat easier to understand. Second point is that all the coefficients of the discretized equation must be of the same sign. Okay. So what are the coefficients of the discretized equation? APTP equal to AET plus AWTW plus B. Okay. E and AW. Why this? Why they must be of same sign? Let us consider a particular case. Okay, that they are not of same sign. Okay, let us consider an example where the source term is 0. So B is 0. There is no source term. SP and SC is 0. B is 0. So basically, we have APTP equal to AET plus AWTW. Okay, and after doing some discretization, say we have obtained this equation. 10 Tp is equal to 15 T minus 5 Tw. Okay. What was the discretized form of the equation? Let us take a look here. I hope you can see it. Screen space is limited. So because again some call is coming out. Internet connection was off. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Can you hear me, students?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
In between, the internet connection went off. I guess we have not missed anything. I was discussing about AP is equal to AE plus AW in case there is no source term. Okay. No source term or no SP means if there is constant source term also AP is equal to A plus AW, because the way we have discretized AP is K by delta XC plus KW by delta XW, and A is K by delta XC, AW is KW by delta XW. Okay. So same thing we have ensured here. So AE is 15, AW is minus 5. So AE plus AW is 10. So AP is 10. So this can, so say this is the equation that we have obtained. So what problem can occur if this is the equation? Can anyone answer? MTech students, new students? Means new MTech students, not dual degree student.
For solving this equation, what problem, sir?
For solving this equation, no. If this is the form of the equation, what is the problem? Do you see any problem here in if this is the form of the equation? Solving the equation depends on solving all the neighboring points also. So solution part is still similar. APTP equal to AET plus AWTW. You have to do. But once you solve and get some value, do you expect that the value will always be correct? For TP. Say T and TW, based on T and TW, you get a value of T. Do you expect it to be always correct? Do the old students remember, dual degree students who have taken the course? What is the problem here?
So temperature at point P will be more than what we assume at compared to W and D.
Yes, so it can go beyond the bounds basically. So when you have this domain and there is no source term, whatever is the temperature and W and E, temperature and at P should be in between that temperature because there is no source term. So to be physically consistent, temperature should be in between W and E, because otherwise it is non-physical, right? I have one end of the rod at 0 degree, another end of the rod at 100 degree, and at center point I am getting 150 degrees centigrade. That cannot occur unless there is some heat source, because both ends are less than 150. There is no driving force for the temperature to go beyond 100 degrees centigrade. Okay. So, but this type of situation, what will happen? Yes, you are correct. What will happen is that, let us take one, say T equal to 10 and TW equal to 100. T equal to 10, TW equal to 100. What happens? So 115 into 10, 150 minus 5 into 100. Minus 500. So 150 minus 500 is minus 350 by 10. So at some intermediate point in calculation, we will get a TP value which is minus 35. This is beyond the bound because T is 10, TW, your temperature has to be between these two values. It cannot go beyond this. Okay, even at intermediate calculation also, because it means that we are going towards the wrong direction. Okay, so this is not possible because it is not bounded. This type of situation should not arise. So that's why this is unphysical. And the second thing is that if any of the grid point values increase, say W is increased, what should be its influence on its neighboring area? If the temperature is increased from 0 degree to 50 degree, should not the neighboring temperature also increase? Or if I increase this temperature, the neighboring temperature can decrease. So always if you heat something at one end, its neighboring point also gradually should heat up. It cannot become colder, right? Because that will become unphysical. Is it clear to you?
Yes, sir.
So now what will happen if TW increases? In this case, what will happen to the value of TP? So TW increases means negative term increases, means TP will become lower. So this is also not physically consistent. This is physically inconsistent, because if TW increases, TP decreases, which cannot happen. So that's why the signs have to be similar. Both, all the signs can be negative or all the signs can be positive. it does not matter. So if all of them are negative, you can just change them to positive. By convention, we take all of them to be positive. Okay. So ultimately, it's the same equation. So all the signs should be of should be same, either positive or negative. Generally, we take positive by sign convention. Okay. So now if we have a source term, linear source term, where this SP also is present, AP is now AE plus AW minus SP delta X, as we have seen in the previous class. So even in this case also, it is better we should ensure that AP is still positive. Okay. If AE and AW are always going to be positive. See, K is conductivity, it is going to be positive. And delta X is also going to be positive. Although I have given that example here, unrealistic example, but in real life it cannot happen because both KW and delta XW are positive. The only term which can go in the other direction, negative direction, is AP, because minus SP delta X can be larger than AE plus AW and the whole term may become negative. This type of situation should also not arise. Okay, because this may also take the convergence to the wrong direction. So this can be avoided if we always ensure that SP is negative. Even if SP is positive also, this can be avoided if SP is small enough. If SP is small, this SP delta X will be smaller than AE and A. But if SP is large and positive, this SP delta X may become larger than this and the entire term may become negative. This entire situation will not, if you always ensure that SP is negative. You can ask how to ensure that this is always negative. That we will discuss later. But we have to ensure that SP is always negative. If SP is always negative, this will always be positive. So AP is always going to be positive. So all the coefficients will be of same sign. Okay. So this brings us to the next point. If source term is linearized, SP must be negative. Okay. We will see how to do that for the new students. So if S is equal to SC plus SPTP, SP should be made negative. So this S should be divided in such a way so that SP is always negative. Okay, and we will see that in today's class how to do that. And if that is true, then whatever is the value of AEAW delta X, AP is always going to be positive. And basically we are going to ensure that second point is, so it is basically extension of the second point. Okay, so these are the two important points. Okay, this first point, flux balance, and these two are very important points. There is another point which is true in some cases, that if we are solving a linear governing differential equation without any, and there is no source term. Okay, so constant T plus, again bad network quality. Can you hear me? Network quality is quite poor. So it has switched to my mobile internet. I think it is better that way. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Automatically it got switched to my mobile internet. I think that is better. Faculty quarter internet is causing problem. So if we have a solution, some solution T. So here T means the entire field T, means say all the points. So I will go back to this. Say some T value is present for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All these points we have obtained some value of T. So if we add a constant C also to all these values, still that should also satisfy the governing equation without the boundary conditions. Okay. So this constant C will depend on the boundary condition. The constant C needs to be calculated based on the boundary condition. If the boundary condition is not any solution T, for any solution T plus C, where C is an arbitrary constant, is also a solution. This is not true if there is a source term which depends on temperature, obviously, because in that with different temperature, so if the temperature is instead of T becomes T plus C, obviously the source term SP will become different, and the solution will change. So if there is temperature dependent source term or variable dependent source term, then this is not true. In other cases, this should be true. Okay, this is another requirement. This is automatically satisfied if AP is equal to summation of A, and that is true without any source term or with constant source term, as we have seen in our discretization. So our normal discretization scheme also satisfies this condition automatically, that AP is equal to summation of A and B, AP is equal to AE plus AW. And if this is true, this condition will be satisfied. You can check this. Okay. So these are the 4 conditions. So the important part is that flux heat flux and this AP SP has to be made. So this brings us to our next part, that how to make this SP negative, okay, for different cases, and this is known as source term linearization. Source terms, constant or linear source terms are okay. Even linear source terms also in some cases are not easy. We will see. Constant source terms you already know what to do. But in other cases, if we have linear or non-linear source term, how to make them into appropriate divisions of SC and SP. That is our next target. Okay. Students,
now you are audible.
internet connection seems quite okay. In my mobile. So because I have 2 SIMs, if some SMS comes in the other SIM, the internet becomes disabled for a few seconds in the first SIM. I will disable the second SIM. Now it should be okay. Some SMS comes and okay. So I was telling that I will take a short break here at this point for a few minutes because my throat is hurting, and join after 3-4 minutes. Okay. And because we will have a shorter class today, so right now we will take the break and continue after 3-4 minutes. Okay. I am back. I hope you guys are there. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes,
let us
sir.
continue. Okay, my voice is hurting very much. So again, this part very standard. Many books you will find. Patankar, this part is very nicely demonstrated. This linearization of source term. But let us discuss on our own. And we will discuss through some examples. Okay. So what we are going to do, we will take a few examples and see how the SC and SP changes in those cases. Means what are suitable. So there is no fixed solution for these cases. That is what I am trying to say. Like there can be any infinite number of source term linearization. Whatever it depends on the user who is discretizing the equations to define what should be the value of SC and SP. There is no correct value, although there can be wrong values. And then what will happen is that for different cases, the convergence rates will be different. Chances of convergence may be different. But ultimately, most cases you may obtain solution, but it may be slower or faster depending on how the discretization is done. And so what is the aim of this linearization of source term? If there is a complex source term S, which is some function of t, how to calculate the value of SC and SP so that we can represent this source term as S is equal to SC plus SPTP. Remember that this is our, let me just keep this open still. This is our grid point P. So control volume is going from small west to small east. Okay. It's a 1D control volume, although I have drawn it like 2D. It's a 1D control volume. And the source term SP is for this point P, means for this control volume. Similarly, SC is also for this control volume. Whatever we are discussing is for a single control volume. Okay. So let us start with a few simple cases. First is S is equal to 3, some constant source term with some unit, say 3 watt per meter square or something like that, some constant source term. In this case, obviously, everyone knows what to take. So SC will be 3 and SP is equal to 0, right? SC is equal to 3 and SP equal to 0. This is the correct way. There can be other ways also. You can understand later, but this is the way. What about this case? S is equal to 3 minus 40. Let me see. This is so slow. Okay, so say I will just write down here, then I will show the notes. Okay. So this is too high. S is equal to 3 minus 40. So everyone will say that we should take this SC is equal to 3 and SP is equal to minus 4. Okay, because this satisfies our criteria that A is equal to SC plus SPTP. Okay. So TP means for that grid point P. That's why this TP is there. Means in general, the source term is S equal to 3 minus 40. But because we are calculating for the P grid point, we are writing it as TP. Okay. So SC is equal to 3 and SP is equal to minus 4. This is one solution. What can be another solution? I can also write this like this. Okay. S is equal to, so SC is equal to 3 minus 4 TP star. Okay. I will come to this what it means. SP is equal to 0. TP star is the previous iteration value of TP. Okay. Means it's a known value. From previous iterations calculation, you already know the temperature at that grid point P. Okay. You already know the temperature at that grid point P. So this is grid point P. East and west. So here the temperature is already known, although it is not the correct temperature because it is in between the calculation. So that value is, we are calling it as TP star. Okay, at that point, previous iteration value. And because it is a known value, it can be treated as a known value. So entire thing can be put in the constant. Okay, because it is a known part, entire thing is known and can be put in the constant part. And this SP can be taken is equal to 0. Okay. This is second approach. This is known as the lazy man's approach. Means if you are lazy, you can just make all the source term like this. Whatever complicated source term is there, say S is equal to something like 3 plus 4 sine omega t plus e to the power xt, something like this, e to the power at, something like this is there. So always we have the option that we can put everything in SC and SP we can make equal to 0. So in this case we can make SC equal to 3 plus 4 sine omega TP star plus e to the power a TP star like this, where TP star are the known values and SP equal to 0. Okay, this is like a shortcut and like a lazy approach. Okay, this is also beneficial, although it is lazy approach. This is also beneficial in many cases where the source term is so complicated, means source term can be very complex depending on the physics, that linearizing it becomes very difficult. In that case, this approach is the best approach, means taking everything in the constant part like a simple iterative approach and the SP part as 0. Okay, so in this case also we can do like this, but obviously the first part is better because we are approximating the source term in a better way, more accurate way, by putting SP equal to -4. What is the difference between this and this? In this case, the t values that will be there as the part SPTP will be the current time step value, current iteration value of t. Okay, as part of the equation. So that needs to be solved as part of the equation. In this case, the t value that is there in the source term calculation is the old iteration value of t, lagging by one iteration. In this case, it is not lagging by any iteration, it is the current iteration value. And so it represents the equation more accurately. Okay. Any questions up to this point? This part is not difficult, but we will come to more tricky situations. Okay. So S is equal to 3 minus 40. All these are written, so you don't have to write again. I have already written this. Let me just. Why it looks like this? Just a second. Oh, it is cropped. So we can take S equal to 3 and S equal to -4. This is the obvious and most common form and is the correct form. We can also take the lazy approach. S is equal to -3 minus 4 TP star and S equal to 0. The form of the equations is maintained. The final form of the equation is still 3 minus 4 t. Okay, which is the form, but only that the t value is now previous iteration value. Otherwise, the form is maintained. Okay. This is useful if the source term is very complicated. If the physics is so complex that the source term is, and source term can become very complex. In real life problem, it is not like I can have 4 or 5 different terms as source terms with the derivatives and like double derivatives like this occurs in our calculations. Because trying to put the equation in some simple form, everything else we put in the source term. Whatever is not fitted in the diffusion term, convective term and the unsteady term, everything else we put in the source term. So sometimes source terms have 4 or 5 individual terms, like a latent heat term, then another latent heat convection term, like this. Lot of terms may be there, latent heat unsteady term, so some other reaction source term. Physics can be quite complex, and in that case you can take this lazy approach, okay, because linearization is difficult. Another approach is also there. I can artificially change the slope of the line. Means instead of this writing S is equal to 3 minus 4 TP star, I can make it, or instead of writing S is equal to 3, I can make it S is equal to 3 plus 2 TP star, or say 3 TP star, whatever This is just arbitrary value. And the rest of it is put in the SP part. Okay. So this 2 minus 6, this has to be equal to 4. Okay. Minus 4 in this case. So if I have 3 plus 3 TP star, SP should be minus 7. Okay. I will repeat again. If I put SC is equal to 3 plus 3 TP star, SP should be minus 7. If it is 4 TP star, SP should be minus 8. So that this plus this is always equal to minus 4. As was the case here also. Minus 4 plus 0. Okay. This actually artificially makes the slope more steep than the actual curve. Actual curve is a linear curve. It makes artificially a more steeper slope of the line and slows down the convergence rate. Okay. So it will slow down the convergence rate, but you can still approach the correct solution. In some cases, limited cases, this is desirable when you artificially want to slow down the convergence. In very nonlinear problems, slowing down the convergence rate ensures that there is more chance of convergence. There are two separate things. One is how fast you are going to the correct solution. Second is whether you are going to the correct solution or not. Towards the correct solution or not. Because you are going through iterations. So if you go very slowly, chances of going towards the correct solution increases, although it may take more time. If you go fast, means in each step you are making more and more changes, then chances towards going to towards the correct solution actually decreases. You may go towards the opposite side also, which is called as divergence. Although if you reach convergence, it will be faster. Okay. These things are actually treated using some relaxation parameter, as we will discuss later. Under relaxation parameters are used in commercial packages. And if you are finding that your solution is not converging, you can always reduce that under relaxation parameter. We will discuss. If you don't know what is under relaxation, don't worry. But by changing that value to a lower value, we can slow down the convergence and increase the chances of convergence. Okay. So these are two opposing factors. One is how fast you are going towards convergence. Second is whether you are going towards convergence at all or you are going towards a wrong value. Okay. So sometimes this is beneficial. Okay. Let us consider another case. Let us consider S is equal to 3 plus 40. SC is equal to 3 and SP is equal to 4. Okay. So S is equal to SC plus SPTP. So this is the correct way, or what is the correct way here? S is equal to 3, S is equal to 3 plus 40. Is it correct, or is there any problem here? I cannot hear. Whoever is speaking, voice is coming too low.
This is one of the.
We can't hear.
Sir, SP should be negative, no?
SP should be negative, correct. SP should be negative. Otherwise, the chance of going towards the wrong solution is increased, right? If AP becomes negative somehow, if SP is large, chance of going towards the wrong solution. So SP should be negative. So this is not acceptable. Like whatever is the intuitive solution in this case is wrong. If it was negative 3 minus 40, then it was fine. For positive value, I cannot write SC is equal to 3 and SP is equal to 4. So what should be an alternative in this case? What can be the, all these are already written. You don't have to take notes. It is there in my notes. I'm just showing here. But directly I don't want to show the notes. It's already written there. So what can we take SC as?
3 plus 6 TP star.
That also we can take. That is good point. But let us first start with the simpler solution. Okay, I will come to 4 TP star, 3 plus 4 TP star, and SP equal to 0. So SP is equal to 0 means SP has to be negative or 0. It should not be positive. If SP is 0, there is no problem. So this lazy man approach is perfectly fine in this case, okay, because you cannot do this calculation. We can do the lazy man approach, and SC is equal to 3 plus 4 TP star. Like we put everything in the old iteration value, and the current dependence is 0. This will work. Okay, this will work, and this is the most common solution and should be taken in most cases if you have this type of thing. What you had suggested? Who had suggested that? Nikhilesh, whose voice was that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, that is also correct, and that is like any of this. Like I can put SC is equal to 3 plus 6 TP star, and SP is equal to, in that case, what will be SP? Minus 2. Okay, or I can make it 8 TP star and minus 4. This is also correct. This will just change the rate of convergence. Okay, this will slow down the rate of convergence, but this is still correct. Why it will slow down the rate of convergence? Because we are taking a slope which is very different from the actual slope. Actual slope is positive. We cannot take the positive slope, so we are taking the nearest one, which is 0. We are taking a negative slope, which will actually slow down the convergence quite a bit, but still you will go towards the correct solution. Okay, so that is another approach if you want to control the convergence rate. So again, I have written all these things here. So if it is 3 plus 40, I cannot take SP equal to 4 because SP is positive and AP may become negative. So the common option which is normally followed is SP is 0 and put everything in SC. This is what we should normally follow in these cases. Other option is to take something like 3 plus 6 TP star, like is the same example from previous year. Okay. And SP equal to minus 2, and or it can be something else also, 8 TP star, 10 TP star, whatever. This can be used to control the convergence rate. Okay. What about this next case? S is equal to 3 minus 40 cube. Again, I am asking new students here. S is equal to what was that equation? 3 minus 40 cube. So we have a non-linear source term. One approach is the lazy man approach, which will work. SC is equal to 3 minus 4 TP star cube and SP equal to 0. This should work. Okay, this should work because SP condition is satisfied, and we have dumped everything in SC. Okay, but there is a better approach in this case. So what we can do is we can linearize this term, and we can also ensure by linearizing that the slope of the term or slope of the line is correctly captured by our linearization scheme. Okay, so if I have so these are written in the notes. Okay, you don't have to write. I'm just drawing here, but I will show the notes separately. Say you have some function of, like S is some function of t. Okay, some nonlinear function of t, something like that. Okay, and at some point t star or TP star, you have some source term value S star. Okay, this is there in the notes, you don't have to write. So at some point TP star, you have the source term S star. So what I can do is that I can try to capture the slope also correctly at this point, slope of the line correctly at this point, by defining SC and SP in such a way so that the slope is correctly captured. So what is the slope at this point? Slope is ds dt at t equal to TP star. Correct. So this, if I just, let me take another color. If I move on slightly from this point to another point P, say another point, not P, sorry, some point T. Okay, this point is T. I move from TP star to T, which is a short distance away, so that I can assume linear profile in between. Okay, it is very short distance away, infinitesimal distance away. So I can write this slope as S minus S star by T minus TP star. Correct? Where S is the value at this point. This is S. So S minus S star by T minus TP star. Okay, this gives us the slope of this line. So ds dt at T is equal to TP star is equal to S minus S star divided by T minus TP star. From here you can do the calculation and you can find out what should be the S value. Okay, let us go back to the notes. So our equation was S is equal to 3 minus 40 cube. Lazy option is SC is equal to 3 minus 40 P star cube and SP equal to 0. This will work, but what we are saying is that there can be a better approximation which will take us more quickly towards the convergence and which approximates the source term, captures the physics of the source term more accurately. So the same thing what I am showing here, same thing is given here. As some TP star value, we have a value of source term as S star, and the slope is represented like this. So I cannot show, let me just drag it here. Okay. So S minus S star is equal to ds dt at T is equal to TP star into T minus TP star. Okay. This is the better way of linearization. How will this work out? Let us see the case. Okay. Let us see the case for this. Let us go back to our example. S is equal to 3 minus 40 cube. So A star at TP star point is equal to 3 minus 4 TP star cube. Okay. And ds dt, slope of the line at any point is minus 12 t square. Okay. Minus, so basically we are just taking a derivative of source term with respect to t to find the slope. Minus 12 t square. So at point T is equal to TP star, the slope is minus 12 TP star square. At that point, because the temperature value is TP star, which is the known value, old iteration value, minus 12 TP star square. Okay. So now I can replace this in this equation. S minus S star is equal to ds dt at T equal to TP star into T minus TP star. So I can replace these values in this equation. What I will get is S minus S star is equal to minus 12 TP star square, this part, into T minus TP star. And S star also I can replace. S star is 3 minus 4 TP star cube. So that also we can replace. So we will have this equation, this form. By rearranging them, you can put them in this form. S is equal to 3. So this bring this 3 to this side. Plus 8 TP star cube. Here we have 12 TP star cube. And we have another 4 TP star cube coming from this side, which becomes negative here. 8 TP star cube minus 12 TP star square into T. Okay. So this part is known part, right? TP star is known part. So this part is known part, and I can put this in SC. So SC becomes 3 plus 8 TP star cube. And this part, because T is unknown, this can be taken as SC into T. TP, like what we are doing. So SP is equal to 12 TP star square, where SP is also now known value. Okay, it is linearized. It is based on previous iteration value, and only this T will become the unknown. So it will become like a linear function with respect to known values. Okay, and we have to proceed iteratively in this case. And in this case, SP is also negative. So this is a better approximation for the linearized source term, means for linearizing the source term, okay, as compared to the lazy approach, because it captures the slope also correctly. And any of this type of equations you should be able to do by just taking a derivative and then using this equation, you can find out what should be SC and SP values. You should practice a few on your own. Any questions on this? However, other approaches are also okay. Means this is the best approach. You can take this also, like what I have shown. I can take anything with negative SP, means I can take SP equal to minus 2 TP star square. Where is the linear source term? Okay. So instead of this, I can take SP is equal to minus 2 TP star square and dump everything else here. Means 3, what will be this value? 3 plus 6 TP star cube. Because always these two should add to minus 4, which was our case here. Okay, minus 4. So here also these two adds to minus 4. So I can make 3 plus 6 TP star cube and SP is equal to minus 2 TP star square. That also will work, but that is the approximate solution. It will slow down the convergence. Is it clear to everyone? To the new students? Okay, good. What about this case then? S is equal to 3 plus 4 t cube. Instead of negative, now we have positive. If you do the linearization, S star is equal to 3 plus 4 TP star cube. ds dt is equal to, at t is equal to TP star is 12 TP star square. Okay. Plus 12 TP star square, not minus. So if you put all the values similar to like the previous class, you get S is equal to 3 minus 8 TP star cube plus 12 TP star square t. Okay. If I just write SC is equal to this constant term 3 minus 8 TP star cube and SP as 12 TP star square, this is not going to work because SP becomes positive. Okay. So in this case, our linearization is not working. Although it would be mathematically the most accurate linearization. It will capture the slope of the line correctly, but with that positive slope of the line, I cannot solve the discretized equation because there are chances of error while solution. While solution may go to the incorrect side towards divergence. Okay. So in these cases, it is not possible to use the linearized form. Okay. So mathematically, we can always perform source term linearization, but the linearized form may or may not work. We have to check that it satisfies our rule of SP to be negative or 0. Okay, if SP is positive, although this is the correct linearization, it is not going to work. Means correct in the sense it is mathematically correctly approximates the slope, but it is not correct linearization in terms of our CFD, finite volume discretization. It is correct mathematically. Okay, so in this case there is no option. What we will do, we will have to go with SC is equal to 3 plus 4 TP star cube and SP equal to 0, or some other variation where SP is negative, which will slow down the convergence. Okay, this is the nearest approximation which will work, which is the lazy approximation. So in this case, this is the alternate. So like this, this type of situation becomes very relevant in actual physics problems. And when you write a CFD solver, you will see that in many cases the source terms are variable dependent. For example, the momentum source term may depend on the u momentum source term may depend on the u velocity. Okay, in many cases it can happen because it may depend on some friction or something like that, some frictional losses, and it depends on the u velocity. So in that case, linearization will give us a better finite volume discretization. Similarly, many cases the source term may depend on temperature in case of energy equation. Okay, for example, say some convective heat source is there from the side, from the third dimension, which is not considered. So it's a function of temperature, linear function of temperature. If it is a radiative source term from the body, so it is a source term is fourth order function of temperature. In that case, we have to linearize appropriately. Okay, so this type of situation may arise. So we will actually stop the class today here itself. I do not want to take a long class today because of health reasons. And in the next class, we will see how to treat boundary conditions and then go towards some more basics of finite volume method. Okay, so let me take the attendance. Any questions are there? You can ask me. And next class I will show you your copy. Next class is in next week because Friday is holiday. So next week Tuesday I will show your show means I will send the marks before that most probably. So we will see and discuss the solution also. Okay. I will try to show both the subjects, the marks of both the subject, gas turbine as well as CFD and CMTFE. This material is already uploaded in the portal, and by weekend I will send some programming assignments for your practice. Which you have to do and submit. Okay, these assignments, programming assignments. So what is this date today? 27/10. P. Sai Dikshit, please respond to your roll call. P. Sai Dikshit. Absent. Shubham. Shubham. Shubham also absent, huh? What has happened to everyone? Nikhilesh. Nikhilesh was present.
Present,
Karthik.
sir.
Yeah, Karthik present. Then Suraj present. Paritosh. Paritosh. Paritosh, are you there? Paritosh absent. Then Aniket. Present. Vishnu is present. Yash was present. And Mainak.
Sir, you have skipped me.
I have seen your name. I have skipped you, but I have seen your name. Alapan is also there. Mainak is also there. Yes. Then tell your friends to attend, or at least if they are late, to attend partially the classes. Okay. I will stop the recording.